Welcome to everyone who's joined us today. You have reached the federal programs Zoom link, and we are going to do our session today on what should our district be doing right now. And this is all about ARP ESSER 3. So we hope that you are here to listen and learn more about what should happen in your district, what you should be doing right now. I see that we have people already putting their name and district in the chat. So if you would do that, that would be great. That lets us know who's here. And then we can prove that this isn't a waste of anybody's time. So again, we're here today to help. Our team, federal programs team, has always believed in being proactive instead of reactive. So that's why we're trying to do this session, even though you might be sitting back thinking, we have this money to spend until the end of September. Yes, you do. But what can you do right now to prep? So seeing a lot of names on the screen, which is fantastic. Glad to see it. So before we get started, you can kind of look at the topics as we're going to do introductions this morning. And so I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Dottie Hoisman. I am the Assistant uh, Federal Programs Administrator and also the Title I Director at the state of Nebraska at NDE. So I'm going to just run through my team members and we'll have them share as well. So Beth?
Good morning. I'm Beth Wooster. I'm the administrator of the ESSER Federal Programs team.
Awesome. And let's just go to Jim Kent.
Always got to find the unmute button. Hi, I'm Jim Kent. I work with ESUs 5, 7, 8, 9, and 18 for ESSER grants.
Okay, let's go to Ann Carmody.
Ann Carmody, I'm working with ESUs 10, 11, and 17. I also do ARP, HCY, McKinney-Vento, REAP, and Title I-D.
Awesome. Thanks, Ann. Ann Hubble, are you on today?
Yep. I'm Ann
Awesome.
Hubble, and I work with Title III, and I support ESUs 4 and 6.
Fantastic. Amanda Noonan.
I am Amanda Noonan. I work with School Improvement and I support ESUs 1, 2, and 16.
Fantastic. Julie Otero.
Hi, I'm Julie Otero. I work with ESUs 13 and 15 and Title III and School Improvement.
And Rhonda Reed.
Good morning. I'm Rhonda Reed, Office Associate for Federal Programs.
Thanks, Rhonda. And then we also have a couple people from the financial team. So Sarah, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Sarah Lieber.
He did. I didn't see him. He dropped
I'm
something
the
off.
Director of Grants Management. So I'm over that area that processes the reimbursement requests.
Fantastic. And Jackie?
Requests. Call you or email you with problems, questions. So
Awesome. Thanks, Jackie. And did I miss anybody else from NDE that's on the call today? Okay, well, let's go ahead and dive in. So we're going to talk today about what you should be doing right now. So reviewing your application, what about reimbursement requests, your application amendments, talking a little bit about your local bookkeeping records and what you should be doing with them. And then at the end, we'll take some questions. And throughout the presentation, if you want to put any questions in the chat, please feel free to do that. And we will take questions live or in the chat at the end of the session today. And then if you need some additional support, we are here to help. So we can hang out for a while and do breakout rooms if needed. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so if I was sitting in your shoes right now, here's what I would do. And this is really, really important to know. The ARP ESSER 3 grant has been around since the 2020-2021 school year. So you could have spent funds in 6998 way back 4 years ago. So the first thing I would do is pull all of your accounting records for those 4 years that are listed on the screen for 6998. Look at that. Say to yourself, what have we spent on 6998? You can then on the flip side look at 4998 and see what you've been reimbursed for. But look through all of those and say to yourself, are all of our items that are listed on here in the right budget code? For example, If we paid for a licensed mental health practitioner and we contracted them through the service unit, did we code that person's salary to the 300s? If not, is it possible to change it? If it's back in the 2021 or 21-22 school year, you don't want to touch your AFR. And I'd even question if you want to touch your AFR and open it from 22-23. So those are things to think logically about right now is, did we have things coded correctly that maybe we haven't got reimbursement for? So that's really the first thing you should do. And then every item that you have coded to 6998, you should say, what allowable uses does each of those items fit under? So let's go back to the licensed mental health practitioner. Okay. Do we have that person? Are they listed in number 11, which is the mental health allowable use? Or did by chance we didn't even put that on our grant? So, see, that's where you start looking at what have we done and what are our next steps to move forward. Then take those reports and compare them to what's in your ESSER 3 grant and GMS. We do get calls from people and it kind of makes me smile. They'll say, there's no ESSER grant in the system anymore. Well, it's there. It's in the 2021 school year. So pull down to the fiscal year of 2021 to find your application. You can see that the example we have on the screen is they've created 3 amendments so far, and their last amendment was approved in July of 2023. So you can see where they're sitting. Okay, let's go to the next slide, Ann. Okay, so you've got your reports laid out or on your screen, however you best work. And if everything matches the grant, so we spent it in these categories and these allowable uses, we've got the same amount in the budget or close to it. Your next question is, do they match? And if you say yes, start your reimbursement request. You're going to hear us say that a lot today. Do your reimbursement requests sooner rather than later if you've had the expenses. If no, they don't match. So we coded something this year in 6998. We coded a teacher and a teacher's benefits. And we didn't even mention that in the grant. Okay, so now's your time. Create the amendment, because understand that amendments have to be fully approved before you can get your reimbursement request. Okay. You can see the spot where you would amend your budget, and then where you see the reimbursement request. If your answer is yes, go right to payments, click payments, and start that reimbursement request. Remember that you must request the money. It isn't that the money just flows to you because we've spent it. We have no idea what you've spent. Okay, next slide. Okay, so if the application amendment, if it's needed right now, they follow the same premise that every one of our amendments does. Okay, so every grant and federal programs, you fill out the amendment, you make the changes as needed. However, this is a big however. You must remember that you can't take away money from the allowable uses and function codes if you've already been reimbursed in those areas. And we're going to show you an example of this in just a minute. And then remember that the amendment application always must have that initial reviewer and then Beth Wooster is your final reviewer before any RRs can be submitted, which I said on the last slide as well. Okay, I call this a magical chart at the top of the budget page because when I was sitting in your shoes, I didn't know this chart even existed. And now I'm wiser and I'm like, ooh, I said to Sarah probably 2 months ago, where'd this chart come from? She said it's always been there, which was like, oh, interesting. Okay, so this one you can see that there's a chart on the budget detail tab that shows paid to date amounts. Okay, so this actual district has the yellow paid to date amounts. They've been reimbursed from the department for $328,399 in supplies and $151,000 and a few more dollars in capital assets. So if they're, and you can see then the bottom line shows what their budget currently says. So this is how much they have in salaries, 197. They've got 957,000 in supplies, and you can look through that. Now, the reason I bring this chart up is because if you're trying to turn in another reimbursement request and all of a sudden you're like, oh, we're going to take 151,209. We're going to take all of it out of capital assets. Well, guess what? You can't take it all out. You can't take the entire budget of 1,500,000 out of capital assets because you've already been reimbursed for $151,000 in capital assets. So those charts do talk to each other and have to work together. And then this is just another, again, pointing out. So we'll just skip that. That's the same slide pretty much. Okay, let's go to amendment reminders for ESSER 3. Remember way back in the day when ESSER 3 started many, many, many years ago, and you might not even still be in the same position that you were back then. You might have inherited somebody else's ESSER. One of the things that was a mandate from the federal government is 20% of the budget must be allocated to allowable use number 13, which is the whole learning loss piece. That figure has to be rounded up, not down. So let's say you look at your total and you say, okay, we have to put $152,486.13. Well, you have to round that up. If that's your 20% and you're right at that, you'd have to round up. It can't be 13 cents shy. Sounds a little crazy, but that is the federal government requirement. And then the other requirement is that you had to, and again, not our requirement, came from the feds, you had to get stakeholder feedback on what you were spending the money on. So let's talk through that just a little bit. You can see on the program information page, intent and purpose. This is question number 1. So way back when you started talking about what you were going to spend your funds on, you went to your stakeholders and said, we're going to spend our funds on curriculum materials, and we're going to do an HVAC project, and we're going to hire a licensed mental health practitioner. Well, over the course of the last 4 years, things might have changed, right? So now all of a sudden you're going to do something different. So you're going to add something to it. If you add anything to that list that you originally got stakeholder feedback on, you need to get their feedback again. So you would add to this question when you do the amendment. So let's say you decide to do, you decided to buy supply, you decided to do capital assets and you're going to buy a school van. Okay. Nowhere did you tell stakeholders on that example I gave that you were going to look at buying a school van. This would be where you need to get input. So think back to how you did it the first time. Did you put out a survey on the website? Did you make sure the teachers and all your staff members received it? Did you just talk about it at a board meeting and give time for public comment? Did you put it in the newspaper and have them do a story on how you were going to spend it and say, "Hey, get back to us with your feedback." So you'll need to explain that if it's something different. Now, here's a good example. Let's say you put in your application that you're going to buy language arts curriculum materials, and your language arts curriculum materials maybe didn't cost as much as you thought they were going to. So now you're going to add family and consumer science materials and maybe chemistry. Chemistry curriculum materials. That is in itself curriculum, so you wouldn't have to go out and get public comment. You're welcome to if you'd like to, but if you do a total different direction, you definitely want to get public comment. Okay, so here's some of the questions to ask yourself. Were any staff coded to the grant? If yes, they need to be listed on the staff page. And remember, and we say this is no different than any of our grants. When you put staff on the instructional and non-instructional staff, look at the total. If you've spent $10,000 and put $10,000 there, when you go to the budget page, there needs to be $10,000 in the salary column. Those two must match. Okay. I cannot say that enough. That is any one of our grants. In fact, when we return grants, that's kind of the top reason it gets returned. The amount you said you're going to spend on staff isn't in your budget detail. So make sure those match. The other thing is if the district coded anything to the 700s capital assets, so going back and looking at all your bookkeeping records and you did this project where you maybe you purchased a huge piece of equipment for the shop, let's say. Did you get pre-approval for that? Okay, those forms are right on the capital assets page. You can pull that right down from there. Did you get pre-approval? Is the pre-approval form that you received with Beth's signature uploaded to the capital assets page? You can't just upload the page that you sent us, because when you sent it to us, we met as a team. There's a team of people across the department that look at all of those to decide if it's allowable or not. So once it gets sent to Rhonda, who you met earlier in the call, once it gets sent to Rhonda, she sends it to the allowable use team. They discuss whether it's appropriate or not. They sign off on it, and then Rhonda signs off or Beth signs off, and Rhonda returns that to you. That's what needs to go on your capital asset form. And then or capital assets page, excuse me. The other thing that I would just remind you is, if you have a capital asset project and maybe you're just wrapping it up this year, and let's say that you put on the capital asset form that it's going to be a project that cost $250,000. Well, that was back in 2021. You guessed it would be that much. And now all of a sudden, that $250,000 project is just way more. Okay. You would need to take the current form that you have uploaded, mark on it, print it, turn it into whatever you need to, mark updated, re-sign it, and put the new amounts on there. That then gets sent into Rhonda again, and she'll have the committee look at it, and we'll go through the same process to get it back to you. Okay? Okay. Subscriptions. Subscriptions have just played havoc a little bit with everything that we've done with ESSER. And so I want to just kind of walk through a couple examples so that can help you. Um, if you are paying for a subscription, okay, so the one I like to use is IXL. So let's say IXL told you at the beginning of the year, we're going to give you a subscription for the next 3 years, and here's the cost for the next 3 years. Well, you guys know ESSER ends at the end of 9/30 of 2024 coming up. So what would have to happen is you would take that IXL total invoice. I'm going to make it really easy. It was $9,000. You divide it by 3 because you're going to get 3 years of it, but only 1 year is allowable in this grant. The department, through your ESSER funds, could reimburse you for $3,000. Okay? Because if it goes beyond the grant period, you can't pay for it. We have to prorate it out. So it's a lot easier if you do it on your side and then just can explain back to Jackie, this was a 3 year, this was a 2 year. We're taking 1/2 of it. We're taking 1/3 of it. We're taking 1/12 of it, whatever the case may be. There is an exception. And you guys, we learned so much through this process, and I know everybody on this call has been at one point or time frustrated with ESSER, because it seems like um, we get started and it's like, oh, we don't really know the answer at the department. And to be really honest, the feds weren't giving us a lot of answers either. But what we have discovered is a subscription for an educational materials or an online textbook that will not change over the course of the subscription period. So I'll give an example on this. We bought reading curriculum materials. We have access to all of the books that come with it online. We can use that up for 7 years. They've told us we can use it for this amount of time. However, if the books change every year, that's being updated. So you wouldn't be able to get the full amount of 7 years. But if the books stay stagnant, they're not changing. It's just the books that you have in paper form are on the computer so kids can access them anywhere. That is allowable to be fully paid out. So if you have any questions on that, my suggestion would be that you reach out to Sarah, who's on the call today, and we'll give you her contact information later. Reach out to Sarah, and she'll probably say, hey, send me the invoice, let me take a look at it, and let's interpret it together. Okay, so amendment reminders. We just ask, whenever you do an amendment for ESSER, be very detailed about what it is you did. I updated the budget page and the capital assets page to add the van we're purchasing. Wow, that's a great description. As a reviewer, I know exactly what to look at. It's also nice if you date it and maybe put your initials or even your name. I did it on this date. Here's what I did, my name, and be done with it. Always remember that the allowable uses the district selected must match where the allocations are going. And we're going to show an example of that in just a minute. And then the other thing you have to remember is the allowable uses on the program information tab have to then match. So I'm going to go ahead and skip to the next slide and show you what that, oh, sorry, forgot something at the back. Go back for a minute, Ann, sorry. Down at the bottom, if you, let's say all of a sudden you're like, we didn't do anything in allowable use number 2, but we wrote this great explanation about what we're going to do. If you want to delete that, you have to delete the text box, all that information first, and then you uncheck the number. And another thing I would mention here is notice that the maximum character amount is 500. We don't need you to write a big dissertation. We want something simple. So let's go to, if it's you're doing allowable use number 10 with it, which is educational technology. Instead of saying our kids will have the access to educational documents online with our new technology, blah, and then all of a sudden people go, oh, I'm out of spaces. We don't need to know that. What are you doing with the money? We're buying Chromebooks for kids, laptops for teachers, and new projectors in 5 classrooms. Good enough. That's all we need. We don't need you to give us a bunch of details. We don't want all of that detail. We just want the detail on the amendment description piece. Okay, next page. Next slide. Okay, so here's an example of the program information page. So this is the allowable uses page on the program info tab. Notice that they have numbers 10, 11, 13, and 16 on here. On the budget page, they have dollars budgeted to 10, 11, 13, and 16. And notice that there's not very much listed in here on what they're going to do. So we're going to purchase new curriculum. A counselor will be used. I see in number 13, this one that we grabbed says new curriculum will be purchased, and it says Saxon Math. Well, remember that Saxon Math is not high quality instructional materials, so we wouldn't be able to pay for that. I just noticed that on this slide. So if you're questioning anything with HQIM, please give us a call and we can help connect you with the curriculum team at NDE to walk you through that. Okay, so remember when I said run all your reports? Okay, this is an example of a budget report that a local accounting record would pull. You can see that the person on that end did exactly what I said to do to begin with. Go through and mark which allowable use it is. We've got Prestige Group, number 11. We've got IXL as in number 10. They put it, they've got IXL Learning, another software down there in 13. They went through because what the requirement is when you send your reimbursement in, you have to let us know what allowable use it falls under. We can't answer that for you. You need to go back and look, what did we put in 11? Oh, it makes sense with what we bought with Prestige Group. What did we put in number 10? Oh, it makes sense with what's listed on here. So do that. Walk through all of your records and notice that 6998 is highlighted. All of this is coded correctly like it should be. Okay, next page. Here's another example. Some people just do a summary sheet because they don't have a lot to spend. So they may just do a summary sheet and say all the salary and benefits go into the unique needs. Mental health was the ESU mental health services that we paid 3 times worth of that. So that's another way you can do it. In my opinion, it's a lot easier to do it just right on your accounting record that you pulled right from your system. Okay, here's a helpful hint too. And again, this is something I didn't know when I was sitting in your seat. If you need to see what you have budgeted in the grant, if you click yes to show what's budgeted, what happens is this chart pulls up. And that's your last approved amendment or original application, so whatever it may be, and it's going to show you exactly how much you have in every category. So you can go down and look and say, "Oh my goodness, why am I trying to get money for 100 salaries when I didn't put any money in salaries. Okay, I've got to go back now and do an amendment because it's not all matching. Everything has to match. Okay, so this is a really nice chart. I have to laugh a little bit because Jackie said that this chart sometimes confuses her, and guess what, Jackie? It confuses me too. So if you look at this one right here, this is just talking about the actual expenditures year to date. So if you look at the actual expenditures year to date that's boxed in the green, what that is the amount should be the prior amount submitted, so it's what's in the red circled on the left, plus what you're currently asking for in this reimbursement request, and then it should total what's in the actual expenditures year to date column. So if you look at that across, that's how that works. And then you can see that for this particular one in supplies, you can see the underpaid column of 59,618. That means you still have money budgeted there to get more money. Okay, next slide. Okay, this column, so that's and I got ahead of myself. That column is very important because that column will auto-populate the payment amount. So you can see over in the right how much they've been overpaid in each of those budget categories and underpaid. And I'm hoping most of you know that there's a variance that the department works under. So you can be 25% above or below or $2,500, whichever's most beneficial to you. But let's say that you turned in the salaries on this one is 13,000 or you're overpaid 5,715. If you've been overpaid too much, it won't let you submit it. So it's like, oh, I've got to go back and do an amendment because my figures aren't even close to where they should be. Okay, next slide. And then this is the program specific table that's at the very bottom of the last slide that you just saw. Okay. This is where you have to look at your accounting records where you put, oh, this is allowable use 10. This is allowable use 13. This is allowable use 15. This is where you then have to decide of your big amount of, in this case, 193,308 that's being submitted, which allowable use category does it fall under? So apparently they have 8,325 in technology. They paid some mental health services. They've done some facility repairs and improvements. And then that's how you put your totals in that bottom column. So it's going to equal what's up at the top chart as to what you're submitting. And then your public year-to-date column will auto-populate on your final reimbursement, and it'll show you each of the categories. Okay, next slide. Okay, so reimbursement requests. Okay, you're sitting back in your district and you're going to pull all your records and you're going to decide how much reimbursement we have or haven't received. And you're going to say, well, should I submit or not? Should I do a reimbursement request? It's never too early to submit a request. If the district is asking for reimbursement, the information must be included in the grant. So I'm ready to submit. Okay. I've got my reimbursement request and I'm sending in for allowable use number 10 because we bought some computers and I'm ready to go. Well, the minute Jackie gets that, she's going to look at it and go, okay, did they have allowable use number 10 marked on their application? And do they have those computers on the listed on the operational equipment page? If not, you're going to get this great email from her that says you need to do da da da. Work with your program, and she usually mentions one of us. Work with them, and they will help you do an amendment. So again, it's one of those things. Everything has to match. If you're asking for allowable use 10, it should be selected. You should have them on the operational equipment page. It should be on your reimbursement, your accounting records, and so forth. Another example is the district asked for reimbursement for curriculum materials, but in allowable use 13, they never once said curriculum materials. They just listed, we're going to do a class size reduction, teacher. Okay, no curriculum materials listed. We need to have that listed, so an amendment needs to be done. Okay, so submit early and submit often. get your reimbursement requests in. Um, if you have spent some or all of the allocations right now, if you're done and you're ready to get that reimbursement request, you've spent it all, I would get to working on it now. I will tell you that there's just a flood of reimbursement requests that come in from every school district, and they usually wait until after September 30th. And then what happens is everything turns crazy and it's very backlogged. And I can share with you that Jackie has been spending a lot of time wrapping up the ESSER 2s, and thank goodness we accomplished that in about mid-January. She's now working on ESSER 3s. And Sarah did mention the other day that she's back at about September submissions, maybe October submissions. So it's backlogged right now. And I can tell you it's driving Jackie crazy because she's a person who likes to be on top of all of her reimbursement requests and she's doing her best. But if you think you can submit a reimbursement request, let's say today, February 1st, and think, oh, I'm going to have this money by March 1st, probably not going to happen. So do it sooner rather than later so you're not waiting. And then, Sarah, do you want to mention what to do if they're having financial constraints within their district?
Email me and let me know. Kind of when you submitted your reimbursement request, and if you're having cash flow issues, just let me know and we'll take care of it.
And then the other thing I want to mention, thanks, Sarah, for that. The other thing I want to mention is if you wait until the last minute, so you wait until after September 30th and your books are closed, and you send in something that is not allowable that you want to be reimbursed for. And let's say it's $10,000 worth of stuff that's not, you can't reimburse. Well, if you do it now and we find that $10,000 that can't be reimbursed now, we can help you figure out how to spend that money. So don't wait until the last minute. I can't say that enough. Do it now. Okay, so do when it's spent, and it doesn't, when it says do it when the money is fully spent, it doesn't mean your whole grant has to be spent, but by golly, if your whole grant is spent now, definitely do it now. It could just be for partial reimbursement because you may be having a difficult time in your district right now waiting for your May taxes to come in. So you may want to get started now. And then the other thing I'm going to just say, and I can't say this enough, do not return funds. Now, what do I mean by that? If you were allotted $212,000 of ESSER 3 money, we want you to get reimbursed for every penny of that $213,000. Okay? Spend it all. Even if it's $5,000, we want you to spend it. I worked with a superintendent probably in about August of this year. I think he had 240 some dollars he was going to return on ESSER 2. And I'm like, no, you're not. Let's talk through this. So if you do your reimbursement requests and know where you're standing now, the federal programs team members will help talk you through what other things you could code to ESSER 6998. Because remember that this supplanting does not matter. So you can just do some different things with your funding, with your coding, and change it. Um, the one thing I would just encourage all of you is when you're looking at making some changes, I would probably run away from changing anything in your SPED and recoding something from SPED over to 6998 because of the fact that it may mess with your maintenance of effort, and we don't want to go there. But we can help talk you through other possibilities. And then the last reminder for the final reimbursement request is when submitting your final RR, you should always upload the year-to-date reports for ESSER 3 for all of the grant years that you're asking for money or you had asked for money. So 2020, 2021, 21, 22, 22, 23, and 23, 24. If you received money or have any of that you're asking for money from any of those years, do be sure to upload your year-to-date report.
Dottie, can I interrupt real quick?
Absolutely.
I was just going to say, if we return any funds, it goes back to the federal government and it sends a clear message that Nebraska doesn't need the funds. So that's why we want to make sure every single penny is spent. So just wanted to be sure you knew that.
Yeah, great point, Beth. Thanks for that. Yeah, it's not like we can take that 100,000 that a district returns and give it to another district. It goes back to the federal government. And like Beth said, they don't want it back. They want us to spend it, and we definitely want to spend it. Okay, so a little bit with monitoring this year. So we have been working on monitoring and trying to figure out how we can wrap up monitoring shortly after wrapping up our ESSER 3. So what we have done is we've gone to a 3-year monitoring schedule for ESSER. And it's a self review. So it's a form that you fill out at the district level. It has 9 questions. They're pretty basic questions. They are not extremely detailed oriented. We need an answer, but we don't need a dissertation. So we need something beyond one sentence, but or even one paragraph. We need more than that, but we don't need a 5-page answer for all of those 9 questions. So what's going to happen is we moved it to a 3-year cycle. Some of you have already done it. You did it last year when you were monitored for ESSA, for Title I, or other programs that you have from our federal programs team. So what we're doing is we have a list that's on our website that tells you where you fall. Some of you are already listed as completed. Some of you are listed as completed, but needs additional information or something because we switched forms. We had to ask an additional question. So you may just get a question or two that you need to fill out and return to us. And then some of you will wrap it up this year or next year. We'll have the last group of you wrapping it up. So if you're ESSA monitored this year, you'll do an ESSER monitoring at the same time. If you're not ESSA monitored this year, but you're on the list for 23-24, I think it's coming like next week, you'll get an email from Rhonda and on behalf of our team, and she will send out the form to you. She'll ask you to complete the form and return to us by March 14th. And then after that date, we will, as a team, review your ESSER monitoring self-review. And if we need anything else, we'll contact you. If we don't need anything else, we'll contact you with a final letter. So that's how we hope to help wrap this up so we're not dragging this out over the next 4 or 5 years. We want to wrap it up as quickly as possible. Okay, so here's a couple questions, or more than a couple, that we had the other day on our session. So um, I submitted a reimbursement request that's not yet approved. Can I submit another one? Absolutely. So let's say you submitted one in November and you're ready to do another one now. You can submit a new RR even if the previous one isn't approved. However, the budget numbers won't reflect the previous payments. So keep that in mind. It's not like you have extra money. Remember that you still have that other one sitting there. And then you won't be able to make it final, mark it final. But if it is final, just put a note in there. There's a place where LEAs can communicate to Jackie, who's looking at it, and just say, hey, this is our final reimbursement, but we couldn't mark it. And then what happens is when she gets to it, she'll send you a quick email that says, I'm returning it. Click final and send it back to me. And it'll keep you right in the queue as to when the order it was submitted. I was not the superintendent when the grant decisions were made. Do I still have to do the desk audit? Oh, I wish I could say no to this, but yes, the desk audit has to be approved. So you may have to go bugging. Maybe you have a new bookkeeper and she may not know the answers, or he may not know the answers. Maybe you have to go talk to the principal. Maybe you need to talk to your board president and say, let's talk through. Do you know what happened? You may have to just dig into records. I cannot tell you enough that it's really critical to document everything because when you're fiscally audited by the Department of Ed for ESSER, you're going to want to make sure you have everything in order. So yes, you do have to still do the desk audit. And the answer is, I wasn't here, I don't know, is not a good answer. So that will be sent back. Our district used ESSER funds for an optional training for staff. We had over 100 people attend. Do I need to list all of them on the grant? Yes, but you can upload a spreadsheet. So maybe you did a sign-in sheet, or maybe you gave them payroll. Put your payroll sheet on there that shows that here's your 100 people. So that should be listed. Turnaround on RRs, we already talked about and how soon you can expect it. And if you're dire cash flow situation, contact Sarah. Um, we don't want to be sitting on money if you are in desperate needs to make your payroll for the upcoming month. Can preschool programs go towards learning loss? Number 13. Yes. Preschool was part of the ESSER dollars. You can spend it on preschool. And where can I see how much I have left in the ESSER 3 grant? So there's right on your tab when you go to the 2021 school year, you can click on payments on the GMS landing page. It will take you down to all your payment submissions, and you can look at that and see how much, look at your latest one and see how much is still left to be reimbursed. Those were all great questions we had the other day. Okay, so I'm going to pause because you guys can just have this dog coming at you several times. We're going to move on to questions, and I have not even looked in the chat. I'm going to assume probably Beth and Ann maybe have been answering questions,
No,
but
we
we
don't
would
have
love you
any.
to type questions or just speak out. Happy to help, and we'll figure out what we can do. I'm looking through the list of participants. Thank you to all. I'm seeing a lot of names I know. I think we're going to get this all figured out this year, and it'll be great. I know Jackie's looking forward to that. And I think I'll just go ahead and answer Lisa's question out loud. She says, how do we find out what the district used for public stakeholder input on the original grant? Is that in our original grant? It is. It's on the program information page, intent and purpose. It's question number 1, Lisa. So hopefully you can see what they did in the past to get input. Can we use ESSERS 3 for maintenance vehicles? It depends. That's our new motto at federal programs. It depends. Remember that it's the district's job to defend the purchase of the items. So if you can defend how that matches what is needed, what was needed during the pandemic, and continuing through this year, then yes, you could, but you have to be able to defend it when you're fiscally audited. There are questions. I think you can see our contact information on the screen if you need any of us. And I think the majority of people on here know how to find us. So anytime, reach out, here to help. Again, we want to be proactive, and we really don't want to have to be struggling with districts late in the year to try to help them figure something out. And then we're going to just stick around for a while. So feel free to exit whenever you are done. And if you want to stick around and ask any more questions, we're here for you. Thanks again for attending. We appreciate you, and happy February.